The X1 shocked us when it first was released because it quickly became the class leader, but it also had a few little quirks like subscription features, the seats, and the steering wheel. This also has some subscription features, and it's also quite a lot more expensive. This is the iX1. It's the fully electric BMW X1, and it will cost you about 85,000 Australian dollars. You can get a Kia GT line for that price, or a nicely spec'd Tesla Model Y. So, is the iX1 really that good being a luxury brand? Well, I have a lot to say on that. So today we're gonna take a look at the exterior of the iX1. We're gonna go on to the interior, check that out. We're gonna take this thing for a drive and we're gonna performance test it, see just how quick it is, because this thing has some pretty stonking performance. And finally, I'm gonna end on, should you buy an iX1? So, let's get into it. Okay, so how can you tell that this thing is an electric car versus the X1, which obviously isn't? Well, it's the plugged up grille, it's the blue roundel, and also down the bottom you have some active shutters that help with aero. Otherwise, things are pretty much the same. So the headlights here, they have a really cool daytime running light to them, and they just look nice. This one here is finished in, I believe, San Remo green. It's a pretty cool color, although it might look black on your screen right now, but in the sunlight, it pops off, trust me. The other thing as well is down the bottom, you'll notice this cladding. So this is the X line. You can also no cost option in an M Sport, and that is actually going to be the volume seller, about 80% of the sales of this thing. All that changes is some of the interior trim. In other BMWs, that would also affect the way that this thing is tuned with its suspension, but it's all the same around. And then in terms of dimensions compared to the standard X1, it's almost identical except for ride height. Quite a significant difference. The iX1 rides 40 millimeters lower, just over, and that gives it quite a lot more of a sporty drive, but they do that for aerodynamics. Does affect the ride comfort though, so we'll come back to that. Coming to the side though, you're gonna notice these 19-inch wheels. They look pretty nice. They are wrapped in some decent tires and they're mostly plugged up too. One of the big things with EVs, you want the smallest wheel possible because as they get bigger, it becomes less aerodynamic. You can option 20-inch wheels, but I wouldn't do that. And again, you'll see that with ride quality. I also like the mirror caps here. They're finished in this, I don't know, aluminium, part of that X line. It's also got keyless entry and go, and the door handles are flush with the body. Different colored cladding down the bottom. No privacy glass, which is a bit of a shame at this price point. I kind of would have expected that. But otherwise, it's a really handsome SUV. I like what they've done with the styling here. I don't think it's quite as nice in its looks as the Alfa Romeo Tonale. And if you want to watch that, you can click up there now. But let's chat about the back. Now, coming to the bum of the iX1, I think it's really good looking. Again, how can you tell that this is electric? Well, apart from the blue roundel there and the fact it says iX1, you actually can't. So maybe that's a good thing, especially if you don't want to be so outwardly like, oh, I'm so EV. Maybe the iX1 is a good choice. I love the taillights on the iX1. I think they look really cool. They've got that 3D effect to them. You have the xDrive 30 badge there because that's the only spec we're going to be getting in Australia. But as you'll see, that's all you need. It comes pretty well loaded. And then down the bottom, you get some of that different body colored material. If you want to go for the X line, maybe you will. Let's check out the interior. Okay, so coming to the interior now of the iX1, and yeah, this is class leading. It is a really nice place to be. The Tesla Model Y just doesn't hold a candle just to the quality. I mean, you touch around, soft touch materials everywhere. I love this faux wood, this part of that X line trim. Don't mind it at all. The steering wheel feels super nice, really fat in the hands. You've got buttons to control absolutely everything, including your curved displays. No, they're not the biggest in the world, but they're extremely responsive. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This digital instrument cluster up in front of you is super customizable. You can see a bunch of different displays, and when you change between the different drive modes, it looks like a piece of art. Like, it's actually genuinely very impressive. I like it a lot. What's not to like? Well, you go searching, and you can find some scratchy materials. It's not the worst out there. I do love this floating center console. This is a bit weird though. I feel like they could have done a bit more attention to detail. Like, this center armrest is nice and soft. When you open it, it only opens that way. So it's kind of hard to get things if you're the driver. Seems like they should have ported that over the other way for right-hand drive markets. Bit weird. Otherwise, I really like this floating center console design. The gear selector works well. You'll notice there's no iDrive. That's been deleted from this car. And I suppose the other kind of disappointing thing is that even though the seats are heated, the steering wheel does have the heating elements, but you need to subscribe to unlock it. I think it's like $350 for a lifetime subscription model. And if I'm being totally honest, I just wish they didn't have subscription models, but that seems to be the way that the whole automotive industry is going. So what can I say? So this one is fitted with the enhancement pack. It's a $4,700 option, and I'm in two minds as to whether or not you should get it, because even though I really like what it comes with, the panoramic sunroof, massive, you get Harman Kardon speakers. Ow, that metal grille actually hurts. These seats have a massage function to them, and they're also a bit more sporty. They have inflatable side bolsters. The reason I'm in two minds is it's not that much money for what you get, but it does mean that you go over the luxury car tax threshold, so then you'll be paying luxury car tax, and that's quite expensive. So if you can live without it, do, but if you can stretch your budget, you'll really like it. Speaking of, these seats are fantastic. It's not real leather, it's Sensitech. Might as well be real leather, it feels real. They don't have cooling, but that's okay, because as I said, they're heated and they're adjustable in a billion different ways. The other thing I really like is the wireless charger. It's just a really good implementation. It genuinely works, and it has a couple of vacuum suction vents that help to pull the warm air, which is super important. Oh, not to mention 2 USB ports and heaps of space under there. Overall, it's a really, really nice place to be, and still definitely the class leader, way better than a Tesla Model Y, just in everything. I mean, listen to this. That is a thonk. So yeah, I like it. Let's check out the back seats. Coming to the back now, and this is where this car absolutely shines, because this is one of the questions I asked. You know, the battery pack is in the floor. It's got a skateboard design, so it's right down the bottom and the wheels are on all ends. And often that raises the back seats, but it doesn't in the iX1. So you just get a really good leg angle. I know that sounds weird, but you don't get that in the Tesla Model Y or the Kia EV6. So if you're regularly carrying people in the back, this is by far the winner. Not to mention you get plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom, and toe room is fantastic as well. You get a couple of air vents with 2 USB-C ports, the storage area down there. You get the same Sensitech material in the back, and it's really well padded. You also got this armrest back here with a couple of cup holders. The thing I don't like is you get this silly contraption, which is your middle seat belt. It's one of those older school style where you have to plug it in, and if you want to do it, you have to use your key to get it out. It's just annoying. I wish it was integrated into the seat, but otherwise it's a really nice place to be. Okay, so practicality of the BMW iX1. First of all, power tailgate, and I think that's something you'll notice with the iX1 is it does come with a lot of inclusions, even though it does have pretty high price tag. You get plenty of space on the inside. It's actually 490 liters. Often you lose a lot more when you go for a battery pack, for example, the Tonale FEV that's going to be coming. The plug-in hybrid is going to be 350 liters. So this is definitely class leading. You get plenty of underfloor storage there too, a flat loading area, and you can also drop each seat individually. And if you drop them all, you get plenty of space there too. So yeah, really impressed with the practicality of this thing. Even though it is a small SUV, it does have a much larger feel on the inside. Let's take this thing for a drive. Okay, so driving the BMW iX1. Let's give it a little bit of sauce. Hans Zimmer plays his ballad because he makes all the sounds for BMW's electric cars. Look, I'm not gonna lie, this thing is really impressive in a lot of ways, with just one little bit of a downfall that I don't quite love. But before we get into that, let's talk about what's powering this thing. So it's got 2 electric motors, one at the front, one at the rear. It puts out 230 kilowatt of power, 494 newton meters of torque. It does have a pretty small battery at 67 kilowatt hours though. That's not the best. And an ADP cycle range of about 400 kilometers, which is true. This thing has been getting about 400 kilometers. And actually its efficiency, which we can see by changing the menu here. Ooh, where is it? No, no, no. What about up here? Right here. 18.3 is smack bang on what it should be. So it's all pretty impressive. They don't lie to you, which some manufacturers definitely do. Really, my biggest complaint with the BMW iX1 is how stiff it is. It is very stiff. Unfortunately, this is very common with electric cars simply because they have a lot of weight. This thing weighs 2 tons. It is certainly not the heaviest EV out there, but it's no lightweight. However, it pulls hard. If we press my modes here, we go into sport mode and we floor it. Yeah, this thing has a lot of power, and we're gonna performance test it in a moment, but you'll see it's fast. It's really fast. We're at the launch of the iX1, so unfortunately I can't give it as much twisty sauce as I would love to, but having driven here with some twisties, let me tell you, this thing, it handles really well. The other reason that this thing is a bit stiffer is because it's meant to be sportier. This thing is lower down to the ground than a standard X1, 40 millimeters. That's quite a lot. And you get the M adaptive dampers, which are tuned to be a little bit more sporty. So, you know, if we change the car back into personal, well then yeah, this thing does become decently comfortable, but it's still a bit stiff. Put the car into sport mode, the bolsters bolster up, and it does feel quite sporty. It's actually quite funny. We can also do things like our digital art mode. In case you wanted a bit of that digital art, plays a little hum in the speakers, but I don't want to get copyright strike for any reason, so, oh, why not expressive? Oh, actually, relax. Oh, the massage seats come on. Maybe that pack is worth it. Oh, you hear that? A little ambiance. Of course, it's a BMW too, so they pay a lot of attention to the NVH, noise, vibration, and harmonics. It's quiet in here, especially for an EV. It is nice, it is comfortable. I'm not hearing too much of the road. I think these 19-inch wheels are fantastic on this car. Any bigger, and I think the ride would be a bit compromised, but it feels great from the seat of my pants. The comfort in here, the build quality, and the luxurious factor is what you're paying for, and you feel like you've bought a luxury car. It feels extremely nice on the inside. Better than a Tesla Model Y, certainly better than a Kia EV6. This is where your money is going. It's the refinement, and I'll give it to them. It feels refined. And I still love that we can, you know, put the car into sport mode if we need to overtake on the highway. It's fast. It's really fast. Look, it's expensive, so if you want a cheap EV, you're not gonna find it with the BMW iX1. Not to mention the safety tech. This thing will drive itself. We're in bumper to bumper traffic right now, so what a better place to show you than this. This thing will essentially drive itself. You can see the little steering wheel dial there. It'll keep us a safe distance, even when you've got nincompoops like that cutting in front of you. It's fantastic. But I mean, that's all day-to-day stuff. How fast is it? Let's check that out. Okay, it's getting pretty dark, so I'm gonna try and launch it now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into here, put the car into sport mode. Everything becomes nice and red. We have our specialist timing gear here. It uses satellites to tell us exactly how fast we're going. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Wow, this thing is fast. Wow, this thing is a lot faster than it says. 0 to 100 in 5.8 seconds. And by the way, that was with an uphill slope of 0.4%. So that's really good. It feels fast. Okay, so BMW iX1. What are my final thoughts on this? Well, look, it is pretty expensive. I think that you know that if you're gonna go buy one of these. It's a luxury EV, so it's never going to be cheap. But I do think if you are looking for a premium or luxury EV, you're going to really like the iX1. Yes, it is a little bit stiff, but it provides some of the best driving dynamics on the market, especially for an EV. I'm really impressed with it, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, just below that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We would love to have you around. You can click over there to watch our Kia EV6 GT review and also our Tesla Model 3 review. And over there is financing. Ciao for now.